Oh. Hi, I'm Kevin. Web development and HTML and CSS basics. Before we get started, you will need the following. If you are using VS Code, install these extensions. You'll need the live server later to launch our website in a development server. The fundamentals of web development, HTML. HTML is a markup language that defines the structure of our website. An HTML element have an opening and closing tags, and of course the content. Elements can also have attributes. These attributes contains the extra information about the element. We can also put elements inside other elements. This is called nesting. Elements can also be empty, like this image element. The anatomy of HTML document. The doc types are needed to make sure that the HTML documents behave correctly. The HTML tags are sometimes known as the root element. The head contains all the meta information about the web page. The title describes the page, and the body contains all the contents of the web page. Now, headings. HTML has 6 heading levels, though we only use about 3 or 4 of these paragraphs. We use the P element to describe the paragraphs, to define the paragraphs of our pages. Lists. There are only two common list types in HTML. These are the unordered lists, where we wrap the elements in a UL element, and the ordered lists, we wrap them in an OL element. Ordered list element. Now, links. To add a link, we need to use the A element. A stands for anchor. Now, CSS. We use the CSS to style our web contents. We need to link a CSS file to the HTML document before it works. Now, CSS. The anatomy of CSS rule set. The selector defines the elements to be styled. The properties are ways in which we can style the element. The property values are the many possible appearances for a given property. We can select multiple elements and give them a single property. Selectors have different types. These are the element selectors, like this, in which element selectors are where we select all the HTML elements of an specified type. The ID selector, the element of the page with specified ID. We use the ID element of eh, we use the ID of the element to call them in the CSS. The class selector, the attribute selector, or the pseudo class selector. Fonts. To use fonts, we need to find first which font we like, then link it to our HTML document. After that, we add the property of the font in our rule set. We can set the font sizes of each element in our web page. CSS layouts. The margin is the area outside the border, or all the spaces outside the border. The padding is the spaces around the content. The border surrounds the padding, the content. Now, this is how we lay out the elements. We defined our width, the margin, the background, and the paddings. If we follow all the instructions given in this presentation, we will have a page similar to this. That's all.